Welcome to the E.A.T podcast. This is episode number 22, Saturday night special. Russ, how you doing, buddy? I got my drink in hand. I'm ready to go. Got a Moscow Mule coming off the Benzinga Capital Conference yesterday and the day before. Ready to go for a show. How about you?
My beer is coming momentarily.
Beautiful. So real quick, I just want to thank Benzinga for the access they gave me the past 2 days at their Cannabis Capital Conference. A lot of connections were made. A lot of CEOs were speaking. It was great. There was people there involved in every aspect of the cannabis company, from financing to media solutions and social media. There was, you name it, they were there. The big companies were there. Small companies that were private were there. And a big topic was New York. Big topic was Pennsylvania, how big Florida is, and how they're hoping that cannabis is going to be legalized very shortly. But tonight, we have a very special guest. Tonight's guest is somebody who's known in the financial trading, financial Twitter community. She's a very vocal and opinionated, liked and loved, and also hated all at the same time. So that's a mouthful, and that's a lot. She's been on Fox Business. She's been covered in the Wall Street Journal. She's a thriving, motivated, successful realtor in the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area. Her Twitter handle is Realtor Star Shar. Welcome to the E.A.T podcast, Sharmila.
Hi, guys. Thanks, Russ. Thanks, Jerry, for having me.
Hey, how are you?
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. We're drinking. Saturday special.
Cheers. I'm drinking water.
All right, so let's get into it. At a very young age, you moved here, and at 7 years old, I was reading. I was doing my research on you. I have to admit, I did a bunch of Googling. Moved here in 1989 with your younger brother and your mom. Your dad, who was a pastor, was here already, and you guys moved to the U.S. Let me ask you real quick, coming from someone from not here, not a U.S. citizen or from the area, what was the biggest culture shock that happened with you when you got here? Was it like big city and oh my God, people are hustling and bustling? What was it for you when you first got here at a young age?
The biggest, as I remember, as a 7-year-old, was landing in JFK on Pan Am Airlines.
Oh my God, Pan Am!
And they had to take us from the airplane. You have to walk down the steps onto the tarmac and go into the airport, right? So JFK is a really huge international airport. And I remember getting off the plane and I'm like, what the hell? It's so cold. It was freezing. And my mom didn't have jackets for us or anything. You know, we come from like tropical, beachy area. I'm from South India. So we land and I am freezing and I'm just so cold. And I'm like, we had on our, traditional Indian outfits, and I'm free, and it's very thin cotton. So that's what I remember landing in JFK, first time seeing America.
Okay. And you went to school, you studied business management, you went to Georgetown, you went to University of Phoenix. Upon graduation, you worked at various universities and trade schools as an admissions counselor. What was the plan going back to school when you got here? Was your plan to just get acclimated, get an American education, and see what happens? Or what was the plan going through school here in the beginning?
Well, I was 7 years old when I got here. So, I was always in a private school in India. My parents put me in a British school. And when I got here, go straight. My dad was actually teaching algebra in a Christian school. And so I went to a private school when I got here. And, so I became American. When you're 7 years old and you just get thrown into, second grade, you just have to learn to adapt. And actually in India, I was actually in the third grade because, you're advanced,
So let me add on to that. And I guess the dynamic here is I'm not really the stock guy. Jerry is. So I'm more of the color commentator tonight rather than asking the questions. But it kind of just jumped on me. A couple people already asked a couple questions. So maybe I'll fill in what our viewers have. And they want to know is like, how hard was it? I guess, did you know English coming over here, or you had to basically jump into school and learn it like on the fly?
No. We spoke English in India, so English is a very common language. India is a country on its. I mean, it is a world of its own. They got over 2 billion people. It's the second largest country in the world. So every culture, every state has its own like language and dialect and culture and outfits and everything's. It's like it's a whole world in itself, So, but English is very common in India. So, I grew up speaking English. It was more of a British, you know, uh, a British way of speaking, because if you guys know the history, the British ruled India for a very long time.
Yes.
Yep.
Hi.
That's my little guy. All right. Sit down.
All right. So in early 2014, you were unemployed. You wanted a job that was going to give you financial freedom, help you retire early. And real estate rose to the top of that list every time you were doing a search and looking into things. I read that you took an 8-day class and you passed the state exam. And let me just ask you, real estate isn't just you list a house, you show a house, people come in, make an offer, you negotiate a little bit, and then the banks handle the rest, right? It's not that simple. Can you take us behind the scenes a little bit about the dealings you're involved in?
Real estate is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. First of all, going from having a career in the school industry when I sold education, I was always in sales. So, getting into real estate, you have to learn the law. That's very important because, you can actually go to jail if you do something wrong,
Yeah.
So real estate is a beast in itself. So you have the financial pie of, stock market, this, you have the dividends market, you have all these different things, but then real estate is a slice of that pie, in the finance world. So you got to learn it and you got to master it. And selling real estate is not easy by any means. 10% of realtors do 90% of the work. So you have a lot of licensed realtors out here, but they're not motivated. They're not aggressive. They don't have any negotiation skills, and they might sell like 1 or 2 houses a year and be okay with it because they're doing it part-time. But if you want to be a full-time agent, you really have to, go out here and hustle. And
like you said, you got to know the laws, and I'm assuming
people need to trust you because remember, you're the 90% of people, the biggest purchase they're going to make in their lifetime is their home.
Yes. But I assume though, even in the same state though, different counties and districts have their own sets of laws for real estate and changes, and I'm sure there's a lot to pay attention to.
Yeah, so every state, every county, every subdivision has their own contracts. And like in New York, I think you guys can you have lawyers that write your contracts for you for realtors.
Yes.
Here in Maryland, DC, you write everything. You do everything. So you are, the person that writes the contract, the person that negotiates, the person that, that is putting their best foot forward for their client, getting the right title company, making sure the title's clear before you go to closing, making sure the loan people are doing their job so you can get to closing, and you're able to close on your home, and making sure, you are the front and center and you are the conductor of your symphony.
So your connections and the people you involve yourself with, the banks, the title search, anything that from beginning to end, the people that you work with are an important part of the deal as much as it is you bringing in clients to look at something and getting a deal done. But as you say, your network is your net worth, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So when I take on a client, let's say I'm doing a buyer, and I tell them, I say, listen, I bring the whole package to you. Use my lender. They're reputable. I've been working with them for 8 years. You know what I mean? And they're great. They own their own mortgage company. Use my title attorney. She's the attorney. You're not dealing with, where your file's sitting at the stack of other files and there's like different coordinators trying to go through stuff. You're dealing with my attorney. You're dealing with Michelle, and she's a beast. She'll find anything. If the fence, you're buying a property and the fence is intruding onto your land, the survey is going to prove that, and she's going to bring that up, and the seller's going to have to move that fence. you know? So she's really great with just like little things, making sure the transactions are smooth. I make my deals fun for my clients and it's not stressful.
Let me ask a really, really strange, odd question then.
Here we go.
Do you have to disclose if there was any type of crime and like a murder in the house?
Yeah, how does that work? How much info are you required to put out?
I'm saying
this is on the news and it's public information, you know, then but like most of the time that stuff comes up in the title search.
Okay.
It comes up in the abstract. And you have to disclose stuff like that, you know, if the house is haunted or, you know, whatever. Most of the time listing agents don't, it's not a requirement because you don't know if the house is haunted. Like, how are you going to prove that, you know? But people are going to find out. Like my clients are smart. Yeah. And I tell them, I'm like, you need to be a detective. Go research and see who your sellers are. Go research and see, you know, if this is, you know, like who owned your house before your sellers did. You know, if you're buying a house that's 30, 40 years old, you know, you need to know these things.
Yeah, well, the reason I asked is because 2 doors down from me, there was a murder-suicide.
Oh.
And it wasn't as crazy. It wasn't as crazy as you thought. It was more or less, they were like in there just close to 100 and she had dementia and it was kind of one of those types of deals. But
either way, an issue selling the house? Do you need Shar to come to New York?
No, the new people that moved in did not find out until the day they were signing the closing.
Oh wow!
They somehow somebody found out and they had to disclose. They had to disclose it. They waited all the way till the closing day to tell them. Oh, by the way, there was a murder-suicide in your house.
Oh my goodness! So what happened? Did they buy the house?
They still bought the house. So
okay.
I don't know if it's haunted now or what, but we'll see.
Yeah,
it's a little unsettling.
New York real estate's a beast, man. I don't know if I could sell it in New York.
Listen, New York real estate is insane right now. I bought my house several years back where I live now, and I'm outside New York City. I'm about an hour north of New York City. So I bought my house a couple years back for a good price. I'm not going to get into specifics, but over $500,000. And I want to tell you right now, the house across the street, which is just comparable to mine, sold for $750,000. So wow. I mean, you're getting like 40%, 33% return in 2 years on a house. That's crazy.
If I sold my house today, I would probably get 100%. You know, like it's ridiculous.
The real estate market's insane right now.
The market, it's truly a seller's market, but there's still buyers out here because you know what? Buyers are smart. You know, we have these millennials and Gen X and all these other, you know, generations that are getting smart because of the internet, because of social media, paying attention.
So let me get into that for a second. Go ahead, Ross. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I got lucky. I bought my house in 11 or 12, right? Basically after the market crashed and everything hit the bottom.
Yeah.
So.
And now it's worth double. Now it's got to be worth double now. I mean,
it's almost. It's valued at like 150,000 higher than what I bought it at.
Yeah.
Yeah, the market's just insane.
The market's insane right now. It's all across the United States.
So
the buyers they're paying for it because guess what? The interest rates are still low. So
yes, they are.
The interest rates are still low because of the pandemic. The Federal Reserve's decided to keep them low, and you know they're like, okay, whatever. Everyone. This is what I tell people. Everyone needs a place to live. You know, whether you're renting or owning a home, you're paying a mortgage. Whether you're paying your mortgage or your landlord's mortgage, so you might as well pay yours and build equity.
Hey, real quick, just to
I saw you.
Just to let everybody know, our chat is available online for everybody. It's off screen. If you're going to make stupid comments, if you're going to make comments that aren't going to be entertained, and this is the last I'm going to mention of it, you're going to be blocked, you're going to be deleted, and that's going to be the end of it. This is a conversation. Yeah, hi, troll. This is a conversation about real things, and we are going to get into things people want to hear, things that people don't want to hear. But the hate speech and peanut gallery comments aren't going to be accepted. You're going to be blocked. You're going to be booted. That's the end of that. Just so you know, the comments aren't going to be displayed at all, but the three of us on the stream, we see everything on the right side of our screen. We see it all. And if you're going to make stupid comments, they're getting blocked. Just to keep it real for a sec. All right, enough of that. I'm done with that. Sorry about that, Shar, but let's get back to this for a second.
I apologize if you saw that shit, but
yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's just sad. It's a sad state of affairs we live in right now, man. I don't know what's going on.
It really is. It really is. So listen, looking you up, you have a lot of 5-star reviews. The comments from people who have worked with you, honestly, and it's going to tie right into this now with the hate speech and everything else that just came onto the screen on my end of things. But you have amazing 5-star reviews. People talk about you being a friend from the beginning, building a friendship through it, and having a relationship with them after the house is done and sold and you moved on, and you really don't quote unquote need them anymore to sell a house because you've moved them into their dream house. But the relationship that you build is 100% referral based, and your relationships keep going after the deal is closed. Can you just enlighten us a little bit on that and tell us what goes into the thinking and relationships and why you keep it active after a deal is done?
Because I treat my clients like family. During the transactions, we might have disagreements, but I tell them, I'm like, listen, if you do everything I tell you to do, you're going to get your dream home. You're going to get the value for it. You're going to get it for what you want. You're not going to have stress. We're going to do a home inspection. And if there's things wrong with the home inspection, I treat them, I hold their hands. Some realtors, they take their clients out, they show them the house, they write the contract, and their job is done. Right.
And they disappear, right? They wait for the bank now.
And they just go to the settlement and wait for their paycheck. Sometimes they don't even show up to the settlement, just, get their checks wired to them. But I don't do that. I hold their hands. I love building relationships. My business for 8 years has been 100% word of mouth. And I don't pay for leads on Zillow or anything crazy like that. And, God has really blessed me and brought the right people to me. And, I help anyone from single moms, which are my favorite clients, and to, divorce clients, to, first time college grad buying their first condo. They're so excited, to 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds buying their first home. They never thought they could accomplish this type of dream. Remember, 80% of people in this country live paycheck to paycheck. And,
yes, they do.
Saving for a down payment for a home is a very big accomplishment. And when you can do that and you buy something like that, which is your biggest purchase of your life, I want to be a part of that deal from start to finish. And my clients know that. I made a name for myself here in Maryland and DC, and I love my clients. They have put me where I am today, and I'm so grateful for them. I will always thank them, no matter where my career path takes me in the stock world or whatever. But yeah, they know what's up.
So let me ask you one question though. Did you made a name for yourself? Are you one of those people that your entire car is wrapped with your face and your and real estate agency, and you got practically billboards on people's lines?
No, absolutely not.
All right.
Absolutely not. I do make wine for my clients, though. So it's
wine's good.
A nice little basket with my little picture of my face on a wine bottle.
No, that's wonderful. I got a guy by me that I guess he's very successful, but what do you call it? His car is wrapped with his face, and I swear to God, you can't go down, every other block within a 10-mile square radius in my suburbia here without seeing like a billboard on the fucking lawn with his face on it. I just sold this house. And listen, by the amount you see him, he's definitely successful. But the amount you see him, I'm like, you know what? If I ever sell my house, fuck this guy. He's got enough. I'm going. That's all you see is buy for me.
Yeah, no, I don't like to beg for business. When I
want to advertise, you want to get your name out there, but
yeah, when I first started, I was a hustler. Whenever Stanley had an open house or anybody else had an open house, I'd be like, hey, can I do your open house, please? I'll do one on Saturday. I'll do one on Sunday. I'll do 2 of them on Saturday, 2 of them on Sunday. And I'd go to these open houses, right? And I would do one every single weekend. I was hustling. And I would use my social media to be like, hi guys, hi world, here I am, here's my beautiful house, the kitchen, look at this, and it's the greatest house in the neighborhood, whatever, so I would do all these things, and people just loved my personality, and they would just be like, oh, well, let's, she's really hyper, and I'm a very optimistic person. I love to have fun, I love to laugh, and just love to party, so they see all this and they're like, yeah, we like her, she's straightforward, she doesn't have a filter, so let's just go with, and then they'll come into the open house and be like, oh, do you guys have a realtor? And they're like, no, we don't have a realtor, because remember, I do my research, and there's 75% of people out here that don't even know what a realtor is. So, I'm like,
Or
oh,
home
well,
by seller.
and I'm like, can I be your realtor? Like, if you're not interested in this house, I can definitely help you find your house,
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, sure, why not? And then I'll give them my business. And then I'm always on it. So like, as soon as I come home, I'm sending them an email like, hey, it was so nice to meet you today at the open, and blah, blah, blah. And I was a hustler. I did it. I hustled for 2 years straight, because remember, when you're a first-time realtor, no one's going to give you their listing. No one's going to be like, here, sell my house, because they don't know your stats. They don't know what you have done, and you have to build your books. And so that's what I did. I hustled.
Okay. Real quick, just finishing up the real estate topic quick before we get into some other stuff. COVID really crushed real estate as far as showings and sales. And I mean, COVID, it wrecked the economy altogether, and we'll get into that in a little bit more. But what's real estate like now coming out of COVID? I know the markets are hot and things are selling within a day or two, but what have you seen from before COVID to during COVID to now COVID as being in the real estate field?
Before COVID, the market was fire. I was selling 7-8 houses a month. I was on a roll. December 2019, if you guys know my story, 2019, I had $8 million worth of real estate coming on the 2020 spring market. And I was getting my clients ready. Like, I had beautiful, gorgeous, like $1 million homes coming on. And I was like, hey, change your carpet, let's paint the house. Let's, change out the cabinets. You're going to get top dollar in the top, remember, DC is the top real estate market right now. It is. It's the top real estate market. Maryland and anything touching DC is all hot market right now. And the reason why is because in 2008, when the market crashed, Obama moved everything here. Everything's here. Okay. So all the government contractors, you have Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, you have NIH, NSA, CIA, FBI, you have all the headquarters here. So this is
all that moves in.
Yeah, so this is like the power of the world. So it like you really don't see what the rest of the country sees with the recession and things like that, because it's busy here and people are hustlers, So the market. So when pandemic hit, Governor Hogan and Mayor Bowser shut us down. I was really like, whoa,
I can imagine.
I was like, because it's me, myself, and I, and real estate is my, if I don't sell a house, I don't eat, and it doesn't pay my bills. So I was really worried. They told all the realtors to go apply for unemployment. I'm like, unemployment? I don't even know what that means. Like they told us to go file for, but then Maryland didn't have things set up. So like, they were like, just keep filing until we fix the system. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, this is so weird. Thank God I am a saver. I had money saved up, for rainy days and things like that. So, and that's when I decided, like, maybe I should try the stock stuff that Stan's talking about. Cause he, in May of 2019, he had a kidney transplant. So that year, 2019, he took it all off after his kidney transplant to recover, and that was a massive surgery. And then he was studying the stock market. So he was always telling me about it, but I was so busy. The market was great. I was making a lot of money, and then boom, March of 2020 is when we got shut down. And I was like, what do I do? And I'm like looking around like, I don't know what to do. And I'm calling my real estate friends, like my realtor friends, and they're like, they don't know what to do. And I'm like, do we apply for this unemployment SBA grant stuff? Like, I don't know. So I decided to listen to Stan. He didn't teach me anything because he doesn't have time. So he has 3 kids. So I bought the book Trading for Dummies.
It's like you have my questions in your hand already, because you know what, you're just hitting on the next couple of things I'm going to be bringing up as you're speaking here.
yeah. So that's what happened, guys. I took money out of my money marketing savings account. I took about 30,000 out, dumped it into E.A.T, and started trading.
Yeah,
I mean,
you recovered.
Stan put me in BSS's trading room, which is where all the Furus all started.
Okay.
So we all used to trade him there, and buy sell short is amazing. He is he is the master goat, you know.
You guys love him. I've seen you guys comment about him and give him a bunch of kudos numerous times.
He's been doing it for 20 years.
So let me ask you. You were covered in the Wall Street Journal, and in that article, you stated you took about $30,000 and you turned it into $65,000 in several months. You invest in stocks under $5, nothing crazy like an Amazon or an Apple or anything like that at first.
I can't.
And you would buy and sell stocks, you know, and flip them within a day or two. You wouldn't hold anything long term. Trading for dummies, YouTube, and E.A.T were the three things you set out to start with, and that's how you started. Now, the trading community has gotten huge since COVID. I mean, the number of people who created an E-Trade, a Schwab, a Fidelity, Webull, I mean, you can name all of them. The people that created it is just it's gone, you know, to the moon and back.
That's why the Wall Street Journal did the article. They were looking for traders that were, you know, I never used Twitter. I had Twitter since 2009 because, you know, I just had it. But I had it linked to my Instagram. So whenever I posted a picture about real estate and stuff, it would just go on Twitter. But I never really went on there. I never tweeted. And one day I was like, Stan, what the hell are you doing? Why aren't you on Facebook, you know, talking about houses and stuff? Like, what are you doing on Twitter? Like, you're putting dollar signs with, like, letters.
Twitter is better for passing information that way. But
So
it's also doubles as the most toxic playground ever, though.
He's like, I'm tweeting about stocks. I'm like, why? He's like, because I am, because I'm talking to traders. I'm like, why are traders on Twitter? Like, he's like, Shar, I gotta go. So then I had to research what the hell is going on Twitter and then I didn't even know what FinTwit was. I thought FinTwit was another app or something. And then somebody had to tell me, like, FinTwit is the financial Twitter, you know, where everybody talks about stocks and.
Oh, that's what it is. I keep
hearing people talk about Twitter.
I keep hearing people talk about FinTwit, but I'm like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And on a side note, the way you're talking about Stan, I gotta ask you, is Stan your boyfriend?
No, he's
no.
Oh, okay. I don't fucking know.
Stan was my mentor. So when I started real estate, I didn't join like a big real estate firm because I knew they'd take all my money and my commission.
Okay,
so I wanted
somebody you work with.
Broker. Yeah, he was my real estate broker mentor. He's the one who taught me everything I knew about real estate, threw me to the wolves. Yeah, that's
all right.
Yeah,
I gotta catch up here. I haven't interacted with you on Twitter yet, so I gotta catch up. I gotta catch up on things. I do follow you on Twitter, but you don't follow me yet. So.
Oh, I'll follow you. I'll follow anyone. It's not a problem.
We're gonna get into Twitter. We're gonna get into Twitter in a few minutes because it's toxic.
People. You know, some of those gurus are like only follow 10 people, and then that's stupid. I follow everyone. If you want to follow,
you and Stan were on Fox Business, and like you just said, Stan is your broker, Stan is your mentor, Stan is your best friend. You mentioned buy, sell, short. Who else professionally and personally has been a motivation factor for you? You know, someone you look up to and someone who's influenced you, whether it's in real estate or stocks.
Yeah, sure. So there's a lot. There's a couple of guys that I love. Mr. Keith Fitzgerald. He's a great mentor. He's been around the block a long time, and he's always on Fox Business and stuff. And we did Charles Payne did a segment with me and Keith, as Keith being the instructor and me being a student. It was a great segment on Fox Business. And Charles Payne, he's a great guy. I look up to him a lot. Steve Gomez with Trade Ideas. He's one of my biggest mentors. I reach out to him all the time. Who else? I mean, there's so many that have just given me so much knowledge about the markets. Tim Sykes is a great guy. You know, I reach out to him sometimes for, about charting and things of that nature. Tim
Sykes is very opinionated.
He is.
I keep seeing him involved in one of the few stocks that I actually do own.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've reached out to Tim Sykes about coming on, and Tim sent me back a response to check out some stuff he's done in the past and to buy his program, which we're not doing.
He is a great marketing. Hey, you know what? You got to give him props. He is a great marketing guru. Okay, he knows how to market himself. He knows how to work work Twitter for his advantage, okay? And he loves controversy, boy, and he'll use it to, to do his thing.
He's got a great story. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, it took $12,000 and turned it into millions. I mean, if anybody wants a plan for investing, that's the plan. I mean, if anybody can take
him, what I like about him is that he does do a lot for humanity. I mean, let's just keep it real. Like he does.
Yes, he does.
Up schools, you know. He so you know that's what I like about him. He gives back. So
okay, so you mentioned Stan before, and I don't want to make this all about him, but I have to ask a couple of questions. You see Stan off the record or behind closed doors or in real life. We see Stan on Twitter, and we see Stan on the few things he's put out, the few calls he's made, the criticism he gets, you know, and the praise he gets. We see it all only on Twitter. What can you tell us about Stan that we don't see? What's Stan like, you know, behind the scenes of things? Is he all that you see on Twitter and more, or is what you see on Twitter all he is? Give us some insight on Stan.
Stan is a big, gentle giant. He doesn't have a filter. He is a great father. He has 3 kids. 2 of them are special needs. And he's a great guy. You know, he really looks out for people. He really has a good heart for people. He does. You know, he's a giver, and he's just Stan. You know, he's just a funny guy. He doesn't care about what he looks like or what he has on. Like, he's not materialistic in that type of way. But when it comes to like business and stuff, he's a very perfectionist. You know, he likes things, especially like with our real estate business and stuff. He made sure that our marketing and all of those things were just like top notch as a small brokerage, you know? So, but no, he's a great guy. He's funny. Like, he's hilarious. Like, if you guys really follow him on Twitter, he's funny as hell.
Well, I saw that one video about him talking about painting nails, and every time I watch that one, I laugh. I mean, who's painting nails? That was one of the funniest things I've seen him do, and you have to laugh when watching that.
You know, he's been through so many health issues, you know, like brain surgery to kidney transplant. So he just wants to live the best life he can for him and his family, and his boys mean the world to him. That's why he's always in Disney World. You know, he gives them the best life that he can. You know, because he almost faced death. You know, so with that, you know, he is he's full of life, and he's funny, and he loves to have a good time. So that's who family is.
And when you guys are out there on Twitter, you're out on Fox Business, you're covered in the Wall Street Journal. Obviously, the haters are going to come, the trolls are going to come. The negative comments are going to come because, hey, you put yourself out there. Everyone has an instant access to anybody on social media. And that's one of the bad things about it. You can mouth off to anybody and you're not going to get punched in the face like you would back in the day when you did this back in the playground. If someone spoke to you back in the day, you got laid out. That was it. Now, behind a keyboard. But I want to say you've been involved in a lot of Twitter drama, a lot of Twitter noise. You block a lot of people and you don't comment on certain things. Now, certain things on Twitter are a legit concern. Certain things on Twitter are all a bunch of bullshit and nonsense. Is there a reason behind your just instant blocking and not bringing up anything? Because some stuff that comes out on Twitter is a good concern, and I just see you not comment on it. Is that just the motive you have with all of it, or what can you tell us about that?
It's just because people have just told me like just to block out the noise, you know, like. What really bothers me is when I'm trading and I'm in my zone. You know, I love the book Trading in the Zone. And when I'm in my zone and I'm trading and I'm Twitter and I'm, you know, all of these things, and it's fast because remember, I'm a momentum trader. I'm 80% day trader. So when I am momentum day trading and the stock's going up, I'm selling, I'm buying back on the dip. I got to pay attention. But then when you have these trolls that just come on there and then just start to distract you, the best thing for me to do at that point is not get emotional or whatever and keep my mind focused and just block, you know. Some of the stuff I do, you know, want to address, but I just felt like it's good to address it in a form like this. Versus Twitter, where you put something out and then somebody can take it and, you know, construe it to whatever they want it to be. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. Twitter is just a cesspool of crazy.
It is. I call it Vegas. You could be anything you want to be on. You could be anything you want to be in Vegas. Twitter is like Vegas. 1 minute you're in the stock market, the next minute you're a doctor. And meanwhile, you're in your mom's basement. I mean, that's reality.
Exactly. exactly. And you know, you don't know who you're talking to.
No, you
So
have no
that's
idea.
another thing. Like people are like cartoon characters and like, you know, Superman and you know, Wonder Woman and these types of people, and you don't know who they are and you don't know who you're talking to. So, you know, I don't know who you are. I'm on Twitter
No.
as me.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter under the E.A.T podcast. I have a face on a podcast. You know who I am.
Yeah.
Russ is tagging things. You know who Russ is. You're on Twitter. You're tagging things. You know who you are. As he waves.
Right. And then some of
So-
them don't even have profile pictures. I'm not gonna
They were created yesterday. It's a burner account.
That's what bothers me the most. The people that
Right.
talk shit and don't even show their face or anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I gotta ask you a question. I'll throw something in here for once. Speaking on all like the what Jerry was saying, like I find with Twitter though, especially with like certain armies, if you raise a legitimate concern, that people are so sucked into some of these stocks though, they immediately go on the offensive and they tact, and you're a troll. Even if you ask a legitimate question, because every company, there is no perfect company or stock. There's always something going on. And a lot of people have legitimate questions that may not be considered bullish. They may cause for concern. But I feel like Twitter, everyone just attacks you for just bringing up something that's, like I said, a legitimate
They don't
question.
like me asking hard questions. They don't.
They don't like anybody asking hard questions.
No, they don't.
I never traded OTC stocks last year. I might have been in a couple of plays here and there. And I had a really bad experience with one OTC last year. And I was just like, forget it. I'm not dealing with them, So when I got introduced to LTNC, I was just, they gave my real estate client told me about LTNC and he gave it to me at 0.005. And I'm like, no, thanks. And then he comes back to me.
Oh boy.
And then he comes back 2 weeks later. He's like, did you get into LTNC? I'm like, no, I don't have any DD. I don't know what this is. It's an OTC. I'm not. And he's like, well, did you look at the price? So I go look, and it's now at 0.009. I'm like, what the hell's going on with this stock? Tell me more.
Russ is laughing over there. Russ, you're all right, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that comments were coming out on the YouTube page because you can't see them here. So when you talked about laying somebody out for talking shit, somebody posted, "I'd lay Russ out," if you know what I mean.
No, I see that.
I don't see that.
And then somebody said to back off because Russ is his.
I'm looking
My wife said she'll give me. My wife says she'll give me up for $500,000.
Those comments we like and we'll laugh about those. It's the hate ones that we don't want to entertain.
I don't get to see them here.
Oh, I have it all right here. People sending virtual hugs.
Mine says my embedded link. Mine says looks like your embedded link is invalid. Visit the chat settings and grab a new one.
Oh boy. Okay.
Right.
Well, I'll go through some of the comments here. Somebody says that.
Ask your next question. I'm going to log out and log back in.
Okay.
See if that works.
All right, that works. So, Shar, one of the comments real quick just on this. Someone says that you give back so much, just as much as you receive. You're so helpful, and you want to help so many people succeed. Yeah, I mean, people. There are some good comments here. I mean, people do follow you. They like you as much as Twitter hates you.
I love my followers. I do. I love you guys. I'm here to help people. That's why I started RST. Rising Stars Trading, because I'll tell you the funny story. So when the Wall Street Journal reached out to me and it was an interview process. They called the journalist, he called me 6 times. And he wanted to make sure, because I guess they were interviewing a lot of people to put on this article,
Okay.
So they wanted to make sure they picked the right people. So anyway, so he was like, what's a Discord? And I'm like, oh, that's where everyone's chatting about stocks and this and that. And, I'm part of 2 Discords. Stan's Discord, which is mostly, he started a Discord for the cops because, last year the cops were going through a lot of stuff in this country and they wanted to, he used to be a former police officer. So he wanted to give them the opportunity to learn about stocks. So he started a Discord for the police or whatever. So So anyway, so the Wall Street Journal guy is like, oh, can I get an invite to the Discord? So I'm like, sure. So I go to Stan and I'm like, hey, you know, the journalist from Wall Street Journal, he wants an invite to the Discord, to your Discord. And he's like, no, media, cops, they don't get along. And and I'm like, what? I'm like, but we're not talking about cop stuff in there. We're talking about stocks, and he wants to see what a Discord's like, you know, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, I'm not putting media people in there, blah, blah. So I said, okay, whatever, Stan. And I got mad at him and I hung up and I went home and I spent 8 to 10 hours on YouTube. I don't play video games. I don't know. I haven't played a video game since Mario, you know, Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, you know. So I'm like, what? And so I went on and I had to learn how to put a Discord together. And I put this Discord together and I was like, oh my God, this is great. I can just use it for my DD, for all my stock learning material. It's free storage. So that's what I did. And then I was like, wow, I can't believe. And then so I gave the first invite to Stan and he was like, Shar, this is amazing. Did you do this? I'm like, yeah, I spent 8 hours after you pissed me off. So I could bring the Wall Street guy in here. And so, you know, whatever. So then he's like, Shar, you know, there's so many people on Twitter that follow me for, you know, stock this and stock that, like celebrities with blue checks. And he's like, you know, they all want, you know, me to bring a community on. We'll just put them all in yours. And that's how Rising Stars Trading got started. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want it to be big like all these other Discords with like 20, 30,000. I want people to get to know each other and network because I'm all about networking, getting to know people. So I decided to make it private and that's how it started. And it's great. So, and we have a cute little family in there that wakes up every morning and shows up to work and we take this seriously.
So it's not toxic. That's for sure.
No, it's
like
not.
all these other ones.
No, we're all friends and we're all family and we get to know each other. We all know each other's names and we know what we look like and yeah, it's cool.
Okay. So right after you brought up LTNC. This is something we've covered. I had Ryan on episode 1. I had Danny on episode 3. We you know it's been a discussion topic. It's been involved. It's been there.
Definitely a hyped up stock.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it, and I'm sure the chat's gonna take off, and people are gonna voice their concerns and opinions. But I'm hoping I hit on a couple of things, good and bad here. And Ryan Shadle. What can you tell us about Ryan? So let me preface this with, we had Ryan on. I had a great relationship with Ryan. Ryan is involved in Discords, involved in Twitter, business guy, smart guy, brought LTNC public. I mean, everyone knows the story. Ryan and you have a great relationship or a bad relationship. What can you tell us about it?
Okay, let me tell you. So this is how the story starts, right? So my client calls me and tells me about LTNC. And I'm like, I don't touch OTCs. I got burned last year with RBDO. I don't know what that is. So anyway, so then he was like, well, did you check the price of the stock? And I'm like, oh, no, like, let me go look. And it was a Friday. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on with the stock? Like, what do I need to know? You know, I don't really know much about OTCs and stuff. And he was like, well, go follow the guy on Twitter. I'm like, what guy? He's like, Ryan. And I'm like, oh, the CEO. I'm like, okay. So go follow the guy on Twitter. And I'm just like really intrigued by his Twitter. So I'm going through it. Okay. This is like in January, end of January, February. Okay. So I'm going through it and I'm like, he's the CEO and he's like typing like it's his diary. Right. So, I'm a very curious person. I'm like a detective. I love all kinds, I'm a realtor for crying out loud. So, I love stuff like this. So I'm like reading through I'm like this, like, his entire Twitter, and he's talking about selling his company, COVID, and he's talking to a couple of people trying to do a deal, something about goats. I'm like, goats, greatest of all time, water, hydrogen water, and this and that. And I'm like, okay, so now I'm like Googling hydrogen water in the public space, and I'm like, there's no stock. So then I'm like I called my real estate client and I'm like, hey, get me on the phone with this guy.
Okay.
I want to get on the phone with him. And then I invited people in my Discord to come on the phone with me. And we had a conference call. And he told me, about Labor Smart and how great and successful it was and what it is, but he's just ready to move on and he's looking to transfer it to somebody else. And he might be, just the stuff that he was saying on Twitter, and he was like, I'm thinking about, maybe doing selling it to a beverage company, this and that. And, of course, I'm like, which beverage company? Coca-Cola?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. We're buying them.
What's going on? Like, who are you going to sell it to? He's like, oh, I can't talk about it, blah, blah. But they said that they have goats and, they have this hydrogen water. I'm like, okay, well, let me go Google hydrogen water. And I realized that hydrogen water has been around for 5 years. There's a lot of private companies in hydrogen water. But only people that know about it is like Serena Williams. She's a big, huge drinker of hydrogen water. Tom Brady with his TB12, they have, the hydrogen, and like all these athletes that use hydrogen water for performance, and it's a greater alternative. And then I started doing research, and there's a lot of research out, since 2020. You can go Google and pull up all these articles and stuff. And what really got me is the MedMD article that they did. Okay. And, they started a research study on it. And so I called my real estate client back. I'm like, get this guy back on the phone. And I'm like, you got to do it. Like, this would be great for your stock and blah, blah, blah. And it was Friday night. Then Monday, I totally forgot about everything I did. I'm so busy, so I forgot about everything. And then my people, my members were like, "Did you buy LTNC?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, let me go buy it." So when I went to go buy it, it was at 0.0015.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that's how it all got started.
All right. And Ryan and you have a great relationship. I mean, he's been involved in Discords. He's involved in Twitter. Some things have leaked that have been questionable with him, and I'm not going to get into specifics because, listen, anybody can go on Discord and create a fake name and make it look like you, make it look like me or anybody else. So we don't know if it's true or not. I'm not going to put that out on a podcast for people to accuse me of doing something or you.
He's on several Discords. He was in our Discord. He was in my Discord. I mean, that's not a secret, And he was in my Discord. He shared about LTNC and Labor Smart because we didn't know what the hell it was, so he talked about, his business, and that's it.
Do you think that him being involved as much as he was, that's a good look for him? Honestly,
he wasn't really in there. Like, he was in there, but he wasn't in there talking with us every single day. Like, that's not what it was. He just shared his company with us, and he did it in the conference call, and then he came back in and he told us what it was, and he said, this is what's going on. Look for the PRs, look for the filing, and look for the LOI. So we all invested, and then like a week later, the LOI comes out that he is engaging conversations with this company. He didn't say which one yet, and whatever it was in the LOI, and then he put it on Twitter, and that's how the hype starts. So remember, this is like a small company, like compared to like Amazon or Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
So so things like this is very boutique kind of way of doing things, right? So he was using his Twitter to get his word out to his small amount of shareholders. He didn't have a lot of shareholders, just the ones that are loyal and that were there since, for a while. Me and Stan, I became a shareholder. Some people in my Discord became shareholders, and then I had to convince Stan to go talk about the stock on Twitter. And he wasn't feeling it at first, because he said the float's too high, and he was already like talking about some other OTC stocks like HQGE and all these other ones. But I was like, Stan, but this is a great look at this. Like, he's got goats, that they have goats and this and that, goat water. And then finally Stan got on board, and we were their microphone.
Yeah. So some criticisms you guys took, and he took as well, was that famous Zoom call. And you guys were put on the Zoom call. You were involved in it just by, I guess, listening to what the pitch was. Is that all you guys were on the call for, or was there more to it that we don't know? Or when did you guys leave? When did you guys leave that call?
So the Zoom call. Okay, everyone wants to talk about the Zoom call. So
everybody wants to talk about it.
So Stan's very aggressive. He wanted to do on the ground DD. We wanted to know who this company was that Ryan was engaging with, and if they really had goats, because it's the OTC. So you can't really believe everything because everything's so scammy and this and that and whatever. So we wanted to actually go to Florida and see who these people were. you know?
Mhm.
And so they were like, okay, let's just do a Zoom call. We understand, you know, investors, whatever. So we told Ryan, we were like, you need to ask them before you sign anything to any company and just give your baby away. You need to
Mhm.
ask them, like, who are the goats? Who are this? Who are that? And because your investors want to know, you know, like if you want us to stay long term and believe in this, you know, we want to know who these people are. So
Okay.
he came back to us and he said, you know, we're going to do a Zoom call and they're going to have goat, like, you know, somebody that represents a goat or whatever, you know, it's going to be after market hours and, you know, you guys can ask your questions. And that was it. So we get on the Zoom call and it was all the takeover people. And it
Mhm.
was Ryan and a couple of guys that were helping with the transition. And it was the Tom Brady trainer guy, Alex.
Yeah.
And it was
So
very
Alex
nice.
Guerrero's put out there. Yeah, Alex
Yeah.
Guerrero's pictures put out there
And
immediately,
remember,
and
this was
everyone.
before Ryan signed anything. This was like a validation Zoom
Okay.
call. That's all it was. So before Ryan signed the deal, did a LOI or anything, he we wanted to verify it.
So
So
Alex
we
is
did a
Alex
Zoom
is on the
call.
call.
Yeah.
Alex is on the call, and the Twitter world explodes. We, you know, because we all know who he's connected
Tom
to.
Brady is coming.
Yeah, everyone says Tom Brady's coming, Gronk is coming, anybody associated with TB12 is coming. Well, it's now, let's say, it's October 16th. It's roughly, 7 months later, and these guys aren't involved. Did Alex make any comments that you heard that these guys were going to be involved on that call? Could you tell us that?
We just knew that he was going to be a stakeholder in the company and he was going to hold shares.
Okay.
We didn't know. That's all we know. We weren't on the call
Okay.
that long. Like I said, we just wanted to verify for investors for Ryan, you know. So Ryan invited us on the Zoom call. We
Okay.
didn't sign no NDA or anything like that because it wasn't really nothing to sign. You know, it was just a
Okay.
validation. And we met the takeover people, and then, you know, we met Ryan and he was very nice to me. So if he's watching this, hi. But he was very nice and he said that he's excited for this company and, you know, he believes in these guys. And it was just like more like, you know, like just a validation type of thing.
When
Um, and then,
when
you know,
you
Stan asked him questions about, if he's going to plan, and he's like, they never said yes or no. It was more like, yeah, you know, we're going to talk about it, this and that. And then he said that they were definitely going to be stakeholders in the company.
Okay.
So
What now let's just preface this on your initial thoughts of the guys at Takeover. What were your initial thoughts of them? Because it's
Well,
gone down it's gone down from you meeting them, you being involved with them in the ways that we've seen on Twitter, to lawsuits being dropped and everything else. And I want to cover as much of that as possible. But the initial reaction to these guys, did you think they were involved in beverages? They've done things, and you see all the companies that these guys are mentioned with. What was your initial reaction when you saw that
when
they
I
were
met
involved?
them on the Zoom call, I didn't really know who they were.
Okay.
You know, because I have to go do DD on these people.
Of course.
Because remember, this is before Ryan signed anything. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryan was also very, you know, wanted to make sure that he was doing the right thing for his shareholders, you know, before he gave his company away. Okay.
Okay.
So you know, when I get on the Zoom call, I'm just like, hey, hello, nice meeting you, nice meeting you. You know, nice meeting you. And then
Okay.
I went home and then then I'm like, okay, let me Google Joe Pavlik. Let me Google Toby McBride. Let me Google all
Okay.
these people. And, you know, and from what I saw on the internet, I really was impressed with Joe's portfolio.
Yeah,
And,
it's impressive.
yeah, he's done a lot of things. And I'm just like, oh, okay, great. This is great, blah, blah, blah. But then, you know, I didn't really know if Ryan was still going to do the deal with them.
Okay.
You know, so I didn't want to really waste my time. But then he started engaging more. And then, you know, you had that tweet that came out from Alex that said,
yes, correct.
LTNC to the moon. And then he commented on Ryan's stuff. And this is the great thing about Twitter with these OTC stuff in there, you know? So,
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, well, then maybe this is really happening, you know? So this is really cool. And people, that's where the hype came in. Because
Listen, there was a lot of hype. There was a lot.
right. So we used, Stan was the microphone, and so we it was great, and everyone was excited, and then people started buying more shares, and then next thing you know, now it's sitting at a penny, and we're waiting on Ryan to do the transfer. And then the transfer happens on a Sunday, and they were ready to go. I think Takeover was like very like, here you go, here's everything, and Ryan was just still taking his time and contemplating.
He thought about it. I mean,
Yeah,
he
he
put out
thought
that video
about
that
it.
he
And
thought
if you go
about it,
look
and
at
it was a tough decision.
right. So if you go look at his Twitter, he documented everything like a diary.
Of course.
So and then that was it. Then the deal comes through. Then you have the interviews with Stan, and then Joe comes on live, and he introduces himself as the CEO. We're all excited.
Yep.
We're like, yes. And then months go by, and people are like, pink, and I'm like, what's that mean? I'm like, what? What are you guys talking about?
What's pink? Yep, because that's another big topic of discussion with them.
So then I'm like, holy crap! So they have to be pink current or by September?
Yep.
Like, you remember? I don't know this stuff.
It's all a learning curve for you.
All a learning curve. You learn. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So now I'm like getting anxiety. I'm like, I got so many people in the stock, like my friends, my family, my clients. And now it's like, okay, what the freak is happening? Like we need answers and stuff. So then you start asking hard questions. Stan's in a really tough situation because he's got more followers than I do. So
So yeah, Twitter explodes. The good and the bad come out. I mean, you guys are heavily involved in it. We all saw that. And then the Manny Pacquiao deal gets announced, and you stated, and you were even in the PR, that you facilitated the deal. You were involved in it heavily. And I want to ask you, did you just blindly contact Manny and his representatives and say, hey, I got this great company I'm involved in. This is what's going on with it. We want you involved. Take us behind the scenes and let me know and our listeners how this whole deal with Manny unfolded, because Manny is huge. Manny is one of the greatest of all time. He's a legit GOAT. I mean, his picture on a can, the logo on the trunks, everything that Manny, has done with LTNC and Takeover and Next Level is huge. How did the deal get done?
Let me tell you something. I don't even know Manny Pacquiao. I'm like, who? Okay, I don't really watch wrestling and stuff, like boxing. So my Twitter was open. So I left my DMs open, and John came into my DMs and introduced himself. He said, hey, we follow you and Stan. I am the executive director for the Manny Pacquiao Foundation. And I'm like, oh, okay. So while he's like typing, and I'm like, who is Manny Pacquiao? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know who he is. And I'm like, this is huge. This is big. This is massive, right? So I'm like, Joe needs to talk to this guy. I'm like, Stan, get me on the phone with Joe. He needs to talk to this guy, And it was just like, hey, we're already shareholders. Me and my brother are already shareholders, and we've been following your journey and Stan's, and we've done our own due diligence, and we love the product. And if this is a product that can help Manny with his performance, because he's coming up on his last fight, and if it can help, we would be gladly, endorse it or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me get you on the phone. Let me just, because, I'm a hustler, right?
Yeah.
So this is the middle of the night. I'm like, get me on the phone with Joe Pavlik, and, I got this, I got a goat. I got the real goat, the goat of all goats, So, I mean, this is the world goat. So I'm like, get me on the phone. So that's how it happened. And, and I think they Takeover was a little shocked, probably in the beginning, because, anyone could call and be like, hey, I know Michael Jordan. I know, Kanye West or
But to actually beg them is a different story.
And you don't even know if it's true.
Yeah, to actually get the guy to call them and talk is huge.
Right. So maybe they didn't believe, because it took me a while to get through to them. Like Joe understood, but like I think Toby was like trying to build the brand, and maybe he was a little bit nervous. Not nervous, but like a little overwhelmed with, everything that's happening and the hype and, all of this. And so It took a while. It took like a week and a half to finally set up a phone conversation.
Okay.
Um,
And
with
you guys put out on Twitter that it seemed to me, I mean, it seemed to a lot of people that they didn't want to take the call, or they were apprehensive about the call. Is that the vibe you got when you were in initial discussions with them about taking Manny's call and speaking to his people?
Yeah, so like we had a group chats with everyone on it, and
Okay.
it was more like, we're building a brand, check back with us next year, we don't have any money right now, and and I think at that point, John was just like, hey, listen, we don't really need the money, but if it's a product that can help him perform better,
Were
we will be happy to help
were
your
you
start.
were you involved in negotiations with Manny and his people, or was that something that was done behind the scenes and you're not privy to any of that?
In the beginning, a little bit, I was helping facilitate, yeah. But just, getting them to the right people, whatever. But that's why it was very important for me, and my attorneys to make sure that I was put on that PR, because
Okay.
I wanted people to know that they came into my inbox. I introduced them to the company, because I didn't want any type of scrutiny or anything like insider bullshit, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted it to be very clear to the world that like, because I'm all about doing things the right way, straight by the book,
Okay.
and just making sure that that was my name was included.
Okay. And then let me ask you, so Manny does their deal. It comes out that you're involved with facilitating this, and then it comes out that you're involved now with the Manny Pacquiao Foundation. Is that something you're still involved in? Did you do any charitable work with them, or is that something that kind
I
of
just
just
helped
went
them.
away?
It was just, I was a volunteer. I had a lot of people from my Discord donate money to them.
Okay.
And and I will still find them sponsors. I am a philanthropist at heart. I spent all of
Okay.
2010 in Haiti, and I did that before I did the school stuff. Yeah, so it was just a great connection. And if there's more connections, like I connected John to some guy, a really good investor out in Europe, and I will continue to do that,
Okay.
because I believe in what Manny Pacquiao Foundation stands for, because it's everything I believe in. They're lovers of Christ. They are givers. They help humanity. They build houses. They, feed the hungry and the thirsty. And so that's what it's all about. So, and I love everything he stands for. He's a great man of God.
Okay. Now he's going to run for political office. We're seeing, he's
Yeah,
going to run for
amazing,
president of the
right?
Philippines. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Now, it comes out that he's going to be involved in the Asian distribution of this when that deal gets done. And
right.
let me ask you, do you think running for political office is going to slow that down a little bit?
I don't think so. I think he has a good team of people that help him. And
Okay.
remember, not just involved in like hydrogen water. He's involved in a lot of different business stuff. So and I think that he has a great team of people that are just going to keep killing it. And trust me, when you're a celebrity like that, worth a lot of money, you're not doing any of the work. You
Hmm.
have designated team members that do everything for you. So I don't think it's going to slow anything down. I think the biggest thing that is the challenge is going to be for Takeover to take this opportunity by the horns and make it happen. And don't give up on this opportunity, because this is a huge opportunity. This will make you a world brand. You take that water to Asia, and you're an American product sitting on their shelf.
Hmm.
Everyone's gonna buy it, you know.
So
So
the biggest knock is they're not pink. They have dropped financials. They've
yes,
hired accountants. They've hired lawyers. You
right.
say that you're still heavily invested in the company. You still
I
own
haven't
shares.
sold a single share. No.
The critics out there say, hey, she's never shown her account. We don't believe her. We don't know if she's telling the truth. Again, it's Twitter, so who knows what to believe and not believe. But
Hmm.
do you think they're going to get pink? I mean, I see you float the idea and you throw around December. Why December? And what's your thinking behind if they're going to get pink? is the new team that is in charge going to get this done? Tell us about that.
I think Jason is a great step up for this company.
Who the fuck is Jason?
Jason
He's the new
Tucker.
CEO.
He's the new president.
All I know about is Toby and Joe. Yeah. Listen, all I know is I bought before the Manny thing and then sold somewhere around like 2 cents and lost a bunch of money. So.
Oh man.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know the ins and outs of this thing, but I know there was the Joe McBride, and I know Pavlik left, and then Ryan rebought Labor Smart, but it's separate.
It's been a lot of drama, a lot of back.
There has been.
Like,
but who's this other Joe guy now?
So now Jason's in charge, and you believe Jason. You believe Jason Tucker is the real deal and going to get this done?
With a lot of knowledge from his background. He's a business owner himself. I met Jason through the Manny Pacquiao deal, and he's professional. He's educated. He went to Citizen First Academy. Just very, very.
Sorry, my wife. You're describing him. My wife is sitting here doing her cricket stuff, and she goes, "It'd be so nice. Can you give us our money back?"
So I think that his connections and, he did a lot of work with the Pacquiao Foundation, getting him on TV and all of that stuff. Like OTC stock getting mainstream media coverage like that was huge. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing, like I said, from an outsider perspective who's not really fully involved in this, the company itself looks great. Their promotion, their everything that's going on.
Have you checked out their marketing lately?
I saw a couple of things.
Is off the chain right now.
They look like a viable company.
Yeah.
But viable company, viable stock are not always hand in hand,
Right. No.
There's things that go on there.
That's
so
the issue with LTNC. The company, the product, getting them out there, awesome. But the charting has to matter in Wall Street matrix.
Yeah.
We can't have the up and down. It looks really bad because at the end of the day, your job as a public company is to have a balance, right? So you got to have a balance. And with the stock world, you have to convince more people to buy the stock, and you who cares about the trolls on
who cares about them?
Twitter, and the want institutional buyers, want the willingness of people that are invested in Pepsi, the institutional buyers in Pepsi and like Coca-Cola to look at this, and the opportunity is there. It's a gold mine. You're the only stock in any exchange in the world trading hydrogen water. It's huge. Like go Google how big this stuff is in Japan, hydrogen water, in Asia.
But like I said, it's this great company. The stock is a different story,
Exactly. I think that's what they lacked because of inexperience.
That's the knock.
Or because Toby is his past issues with his other tickers. I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's like you have to hire the right people to help you.
Yes.
Because we are investors. We love this company. We love the water. I love the water. I purchased like 20 cases of water, and my family drinks it. My dad is diabetic and he makes him feel good when he plays golf, and so there's so many testimonials. People that are just, and the hype is there. People love this water. It's really tasty water. It really is.
Go see what he wants.
And so
I've had it. I bought it.
Yeah, it's a good water. So at the end of the day, we just need them to understand, like, Joe said several times, I don't care about the stock. Well, you need to care about the stock. You got
to care about both.
You got to care about your investors. You got to care about your shareholders. You got to care about these people because we're the ones who helped you be who you are today. We put the word out. We love it. It's not us against you type of thing. We're all a team. It's a grassroots movement. We want you as if you're successful, we're successful. It's all about making money at the end of the day.
Well, here's what goes back to like what I was saying earlier with the Army, and I was specifically referring to the LTNC Army, that with all this going on and the stock dropping the way it did, you know, people asked legitimate questions and got attacked. And, you know, even at this point, you can't blame somebody for jumping out a few months ago compared to where it is now, because like you said, it looks like they're building a good brand, a good product, a good company. And they very well could put enough time in with their financials and get pink in the future. But right now, there's no guarantee with that. And like you said, is people like them saying, you know, I don't really care about a stock. I care about a company. That's great, but you have to have a balance. There has to be a care of both, because like you said, the shareholders, the people that bought you, are help keeping the company afloat and not putting you in trouble.
Right. And that's, you know, the whole lawsuit thing was just bullshit. And
I'm going to bring that up in a second, because you used some great words right there, where we were working as a team, and then a lawsuit dropped against Stan and a lawsuit dropped against you. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but finish the statement.
They dropped the lawsuit on Stan on June 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
He's been waiting to get served.
Isn't it kind of crazy though how you said you weren't?
And then on August, whatever date it was, right after the Manny fight, they add me as Doe 1 amended to this lawsuit, this complaint.
Correct.
It's not a lawsuit until, first of all, there's a lot of people out here that are confused. It's not a lawsuit until they serve you. Then it becomes a lawsuit. So right now it's just a federal complaint. Okay. So the federal complaint came out on June 22nd on Stanley Barch, and it was posted on Joe Pavlik's Twitter account, and he's never been served. So then fast forward to 2 months later, they add me as Doe 1. So they had these Does 1 through 20 that they were going to just keep adding, I guess, because if anyone had an issue with LTNC and, you know, you were asking hard questions on Twitter or whatever the hell, you know, they would just keep adding people. So they added me. Okay. When they added me, it was like around 7:00 or whatever. My boyfriend,
I remember the day. I remember it happened. I was shocked.
I was driving, and I was just like, "What the fuck is happening?" And my Twitter's going crazy. And I'm driving in Maryland, DC, Maryland traffic on 495, and almost crashed my car because it was just so fast. It happened, and then I'm trying to look on Joe's page, and he has me blocked. I'm like, what is happening?
On a side note here, though, isn't it kind of funny that, you know, 2 years ago, whatever it was, or you weren't even trading stocks or doing nothing, and now all of a sudden you're being named in lawsuits for fucking stocks?
I've never been in a freaking lawsuit. What is happening? What is going on?
Yeah. And on a side note, on the Maryland thing, my wife and kids, we were just down there. You ever been to National Harbor?
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, we
you guys go to the
Ferris wheel? Yes, we stayed a week there. It was a nice place.
Nice. Okay. So
the lawsuit's dropped, and you almost drive your car off a cliff, basically. I mean, I can imagine. I can't imagine what that felt like.
I was just absolutely pissed, and I'm like, somebody pulled this damn shit for me online. So we pulled it online, and I looked through it. I'm like, what the F are they talking about? What goats did we cancel? Like, what are they talking about? So
there's a lot in there.
So I get on the phone with the best lawyer in the country. Don't mess with me. You know, like I have built my business. I have done everything on my own. I don't come from a silver spoon in my mouth. You know, I have been my boss, myself and I, my own boss for 8 years. You know, I what is this? You don't do people like this.
You brought the Manny, and then the lawsuit dropped a few months later. That's got to be a big punch in the stomach, honestly, right?
Yeah, I was sick, and I'm like, Joe, really, Joe? You know, because we became friends, you know, through all of this, and I'm like, really? Like, you're gonna just do this to me? Like, what the hell did I do?
And then so you didn't get served. You didn't get served, and you and Stan,
because my attorney said if they're gonna do shit like this on Twitter, you go fight for your rights.
Okay.
That's what I did. So that's when Stan dropped the massive tweet.
Exactly. You guys. So listen, you guys had recordings. You guys had screenshots. You have text messages, voicemails, phone calls. I mean, you guys had it all. whether you defended yourself on Twitter or in a courtroom, that was what you were going to drop. That was the bomb that was going to be dropped to defend you guys. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Like if they're not going to serve me, you're not going to serve someone. You have someone on a federal complaint, and he hasn't been served for over 90 days, 60 days, whatever. And then you're going to continue to add people. This can go on for. So we found out in the state of California, in a lawsuit, in a federal complaint, you can keep adding people, and then it extends the time. Okay. So this can go on for 5 years with 20 does.
Okay.
You think I want to sit there and let this happen? And then all my trading friends that are asking questions online, and all my, Discord members asking tough questions because we need to know answers to, because your lawyers told you to be quiet. Who the hell tells you to be quiet? You're a public company, And so at that point, I was like, nah, it ain't going down like that.
So you guys dropped it. You guys dropped all your evidence.
And he needs to come back on Twitter, and he needs to defend us. And he, and we put out a lot of stuff. Like, there's definitely, it wasn't a piece of cake inside the camp. Okay. So they, Joe was having issues with Toby. Toby was, whatever it was, don't put the blame on us because you can't get pink for whatever reason. We don't know what the reason is, but we have the rights to know because we're investors in your company holding the stock. I haven't sold a single share. My money's tied up in your company. So, and now you're gonna put me in a lawsuit? No, it's not gonna go down like that. So
a lot of people are in that situation where their money is tied up in this, and that's a bad look. I mean, honestly, let's call a spade a spade. People are quote unquote holding a bag, and everyone makes their own trades, everyone makes their own decisions, everyone does their own due diligence, and some people have kept it, and some people have sold it. But the people that kept it right now, they're vocal on Twitter, and nothing is being reciprocated towards them. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I agree. Like, people are asking questions we need answers to. I don't know why they're still being quiet, whatever. So anyway, so when the lawsuit came out, then, Ryan stepped in or whatever, and they're like, hey, listen, they want to talk to you, let's just squash it. They hurried up right away and squashed the lawsuit. Jason sent me a screenshot that it was that the plaintiff has withdrew and all this stuff, and they wanted to talk to me. And Stan told him he doesn't want anything to do with them, just to keep his name out their mouth, and they keep his name out his mouth, and he's moving on with his life. But for me, I was like, well, I want to negotiate.
Okay.
So they called, and they were like, we know that you helped in a lot of ways, and Jason was the professional, and he was very professional. He's like, I was like, listen, guys, I was the one who gave Joe the idea to do the Manny Pacquiao gamer shot. I did.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's the news.
Yeah. That's I'm first sharing this with you guys. So I said, I was like, why don't you create a gamer shot for Manny Pacquiao before the fight starts? Do it. It'll be great, and you could put his logo and then give proceeds to the foundation. There was a lot of ideas that I gave because I'm a marketing guru. I before I did real estate, I used to run an online publication of philanthropy magazine, so, that's how I met all my friends who are, celebrities, whatever. So we raised money. So I knew how to use PR, marketing, and all that. So I was telling them, I was like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And then, I knew about all his other projects, and I was like, can we just get some things going here? And so when Jason and I had a phone conversation, it was very, very good. We were on the phone for like about an hour and a half. And I said, at the end of the day, I just want us all to win. We want to win. I forgive. Let's move on. Let's be positive. Whatever you need from shareholders, we're here. We do believe that we need to have a board of members as shareholders. We want voting rights. We want all these things. Because if we want to be a real company on NASDAQ one day, we need to have...
Which is the goal for everybody.
Right.
That's the goal for everybody.
And that's why, this is why people shouldn't get mad at Tim. Because he's right. 99% of these companies don't make it.
No,
You know?
a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't. And that's the knock on OTC. OTC, whether it's ABC or XYZ company, everyone says it's a scam. And that's not the case. I mean, sure, there are scams out there, but
I
that's not
believe
every company.
that most of these companies like were looked upon, frowned upon because, and that's why we have this new rule, pink status, whatever. I haven't been trading this long. It's only been a year, but like when you do the research and you see, like, imagine if we didn't have this rule right now. Okay, let's just take a step back and just imagine if we didn't have this pink rule right now. LTNC would be at 50 cents.
It could be at $1.
If you didn't have the pink thing, honestly, I don't know why it didn't go crazy when the Manny thing got announced. But no, we haven't talked about it. You know, obviously, my money's in other things now. But at the same time, as if you didn't have the pink thing, it wouldn't be where it is now. It would be, it would be up there, 10, 20, 30 cents.
Exactly.
And on a side note,
we wouldn't even know what pink is. Like, I didn't know what the hell that was. And so, you know, we would like all of these stocks would be like wherever it's supposed to be. But then that's why the SEC has this rule, because there's been
you can't just make a fake company.
So many people that have their location is, and there is no location. Like, for example, last year I was invested in RVDO, which was a hemp company, and they said they made bath bombs. And they put out a video that they have this factory. There is nothing. Yeah,
so that's why the pink protects the investor investing in sham companies. But, you know, it is a good thing. But still, I don't think LTNC is a sham company. I just think what went on was a sham itself.
I think it's just the lack of not having the experience.
Listen, they have products. They have deals with people. They're a real company.
Joe has 11 projects that I know about.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
So when you're a CEO of a startup with the OTC public company, you need to put 70, 80 hours a week in. I put in 70, 80 hours a weekend when I started my real estate business. You know, I mean, it's just, you got to grind. You got to make connections.
Let me ask you.
Your job as a CEO is to raise money.
So they make all these changes. We're hoping for pink. You know, I hope it comes. You're putting out December as a possibility or a goal of what's going to happen.
End of this month, we should have something. We should have something by the end of this month. Yeah.
Anytime from now until the end of the year, shareholders are hoping it's pink and it can be traded again. I get it. And you believe Jason is the guy to get everyone there. I'll say us. I mean, I'm not a shareholder, so I'll just say us in general as a community who owns the stock. You believe Jason's the guy. Now let me ask you. They dropped this lawsuit. Dropped this lawsuit. Joe blocks you. You have a relationship with Jason where you would say, "Listen, let's make up and clear this up and everything else."
Joe blocked me when he put out the lawsuit. So when he added me as amended one, Doe, whatever, he blocked me. I couldn't even see it.
The criticism that I've seen out there is that you didn't walk away. You still own your shares. You can't sell. You're not selling. You believe in the company. Let me ask you, why haven't you walked away? With all the drama, with all the hate, love, everything that's been out there, why not just be like, hey, I'm putting it in the rear view and I'm done. I'm going to go invest in something else that I believe in or I like or doesn't have this much drama involved. Why hasn't that been done?
I thought about it a lot.
Okay.
Mentally, this has been very draining. I've never been through anything like this in my entire life. I've never been through so much hate. Mm-hmm. I've never had like this type of drama. Like I've never experienced anything like this. Like I'm a very loved person in general, like in reality, right? So this Twitter stuff and everything, I've never dealt with anything like this. It's just absolutely, I'm just like, why am I going through all this? But I think it's more like of a spiritual journey for me with LTNC.
Okay.
And I know like you're not supposed to marry stock. And here's the thing. Any other stock would have been traded out, done with, never touched again.
I want to ask you about that. Yes.
I lost and moved on. But this stock, for some reason, because I feel like it fell into my lap and it just, I've never, the way that it all came out, the Manny Pacquiao stuff, I just got really attached to it. I met these people. I went to the ribbon cutting ceremony and met
you quote unquote got married. Yeah, you got married to the stock.
Yeah, I did. And you're not supposed to marry stocks. You're not all stocks are awful. They all suck, guys. Every single stock sucks until they don't. So,
Listen, I'll tell
so
you. I think that honestly, the only stock anybody can honestly want to marry probably starts with an A, and that's either Apple or Amazon. Other than those two, I'm not marrying any stock personally, and you know that's just to teach their
and you
own.
learn.
But those two companies, I'll marry them. I'm not marrying anything else out there.
Right. And you know what? If I can go back and do it all over again, it would have been traded out at 7-8 cents.
In a perfect world, sure. That's what everyone would have
I can go back and do it all over again.
That before. I was like, whoa, this is awesome. But you know, it's just money on paper until you secure it. You got to secure your bags. You got to secure those bags.
If you're talking about going back and doing it all over again, I'm going back like 10 years ago and buying billions of fucking Bitcoin. All right?
I know, right? Oh my God. In 2018, I had 8 Bitcoins and I got rid of them. You know, like I was involved in it's been a mess. But yeah,
wow.
I was supposed to buy about 3 of them back when it was like $7.50 a coin, and I got convinced to buy stocks instead on Robinhood.
Bitcoin was like $5,000, $8,000 in 2018 when I found out about it.
And now it's trading at what, 63, 65,000? I can look at it.
Yeah. It's back at 60,000.
This is the perfect segue for us, real quick. So you're now involved in crypto. I'm seeing you putting out there, you know, Shiba. You've been involved in Bitcoin. You just spoke about that you owned. What are your thoughts on crypto? You think it's here to stay?
I don't know shit about crypto, honestly. I really don't. I let my boyfriend deal with the crypto stuff because I don't know much about it. You know, the Tendies coin thing, this kid started it. He's 18 years old. I believed in his vision and I was like, okay, you want to start a crypto coin? Sure. You know, and I was one of the original investors in that, and hopefully he'll network with some right people and get that thing going again. It's hard because when you start a project like that, you need to put 70 to 80 hours of work in, just like anything else that you start, you know? And so, that was my first like altcoin or whatever it's called. It's the first one I bought. And then, I don't even know how to sell it, or I don't know. It's just sitting in
I don't even know how to buy it. I don't know how to do anything with it.
I'm with you on the Shiba. I'm with you on the Shiba though. It's the only one I'm invested in right now.
It's like sitting here in my trust wallet, like see, it's like sitting here, and I'm just like, what the hell? How do I sell? You know, whatever. So I'm just gonna let him figure it out so he can get some right people and network with some right people. So if you guys know some people in the crypto industry that would love to help Tendies, you know, get the right marketing and development, please let me know, and I'll give you guys his number or whatever. So that's that. And then the Shiba thing. So I actually knew about Shiba because I follow Mystic, and he had it like in January, and I was just like, no, it's okay. You know, like I don't know much about crypto, but can you imagine if I bought it back then? It would have been just so cheap, and I would have been like millions rolling in right
now. I bought a bunch too. I bought like 37 million coins, but it was at that time it was only like $400. So I was like, yeah, whatever. It was a lot of play.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's all of them are lottery type things, you know. But look at what Dodge did. Like when they were talking about Dodge. When I first started trading, they were talking about Dodge, and I was like, "What is that?" They were like dog coin or something, and I was like, "What is that?" And then there was this weird old guy that would do these videos about to the moon and blah blah. I don't know if you remember, but I was like, and people actually, you know, like held on to their Dodge, and now they're millionaires.
Well, that's the problem. Is I ended up buying like $1,200 worth of Doge back. I think it was end of February or whatever it was, when it was already at like 1, 2, 3, whatever 4 cents.
Yeah.
I read an article that was whatever it was, let's say New York Post, whatever, and it said if you put like $1,000 into Doge in like January when it was like 0.000 whatever, it would be worth like $50,000 to $70,000, whatever it was. I was like, motherfucker! I was like a month too late.
Ugh.
What?
I heard son of a bitch in the background.
Oh, that was my wife chiming into the peanut gallery. She's cricketing right now. That's her new obsession.
Oh, nice.
We should buy stock in that.
Yeah, they are. Cricket has stock. So you're not really in the OTC world except for LTNC. Do you own anything else? Anything?
I own
OTC
that
besides?
Yeah, the Thailand Airlines, Thai Airlines. I own that. I got bagged in this one stock, MCIC. So I've been
Okay.
holding that. I totally forgot about it. I even had it. So I have that. And then there's another one, UNQL. I don't, it's like a shipping or something. I don't know. I got bagged in that. And I have GGII. So the ones that I got bagged in, I just figured I'll just hold them, you know, see
Okay.
what happens.
I see you had a little fun in CEI.
Oh, yeah. CEI.
Yeah, I laugh because listen, I don't know. I don't know if I should say anything bad because then you got named in a lawsuit here, but
Maybe not. Maybe not.
a couple years ago, like say like 2 years ago, a friend of mine, older guy, retired, is trying to convince my father-in-law, oh, buy this stock. It used to be $4,000 and now it's only like just under $2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know this stock. And I'm like, it was CEI. And I'm like, wait a minute, $4,000. I said, no, they've done about 18 fucking reverse splits. $18. Goes, no, on December, whatever, it was $4,000. I said, time out. I went all the way back in my sales. I looked up CEI, looked my buy and sells. I sold her for like 18 cents at the same time. He was telling me it was $4,000. I'm like, no, they reverse split everything. You're not looking at and they ended up losing quite a bit of money. And he sold it before it went down to like, 70 cents, 60 cents, and then it rocketed back up.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you guys.
Yeah, we found CEI. Somebody in my Discord, we had it at 46 cents. It was so cheap.
Yeah, it went all the way down.
I sold it at like 50 something cents, and then it dropped all the way to 33 cents. And I was like, holy crap, that's like the bottom right there, you know?
Yeah.
But then we all were like, okay, let's just buy some shares, you know, like whatever, you know, because the carbon thing and the energy thing, and you know, you never know what can happen, right? So we got in, and then next thing you know, the Furus started tweeting about it, and we're like, holy crap, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, well,
We're shooting through the air, you know, like,
it was crazy.
Like, and next thing you know, it's already at $1. And like, I sold it at like, I think 90 some cents, because I just didn't know what was going to happen, you know?
That's the thing though, is it worked out for you guys, but like, I see people on, I don't know if you're on Stock Twits.
Another toxic place.
Oh, don't. It is the most toxic fucking place ever. Yeah. And people will go nuts with it, but not realizing in reality that company, that stock, is such a shit show and really not the greatest thing. It's definitely good.
You know, then you were like, you get the short report, but the thing is, there was PTs that were sad. $10, $20, and you have to understand, when you have a following, and I've learned this the hard way with LTNC, when you have a following, you got to be really mindful, because people do follow you blindly. Yeah. They do. Yes, and they're not they don't listen. Don't follow people blindly, but they still do. And there's a lot of people that have gotten into the stock world because they have seen people like, the Wall Street Journal putting out an article about, all these stock brokerages going through the roof, opening up new accounts. Accounts are being opened every single day. So they're like, let me try my luck, into the stock market. And they don't do any studying. So they do follow you blindly. And when you say it's going to $5 and $10 and $20, they believe you. And they're getting in it at $3 because they just found out about it. And they're like, oh my God, it's going to $5. So if I buy 1,000 shares, I'll have $2,000 when it gets to $5. And they see the momentum and they see the hype and they jump on, and then they get bagged. And then the short report comes out and it's like, whoa, there's stuff that I didn't want it, and then you have to make sure that the short report's true, and then you do your due diligence yourself, and you're like, okay, it's true. I mean, that's a pretty reliable company.
So I have to ask, because somebody asked this, to me privately. You alluded to a boyfriend. You have a boyfriend. Let's just put that out there. Someone asked if you were single and interested in mingling.
Yeah, I'm talking to someone right now. So and he's a really nice guy. Okay. And
John, who asked me about your relationship status. I'm sorry, John. She's taken.
I like to keep things. I've learned throughout the years, because I am an open book, that some things just need to be kept private, and so we keep it very private. But like it's funny because like a lot of people are like, "Who's your boyfriend? What does he do? Where does he live?" Like I'm like,
too much information going out the door on that one. No thanks.
Yeah, no one's getting any of that. So people do ask a lot of those types of questions, and they could just see all the songs I put out for him. That's all.
All right, so you're with somebody, John. I'm sorry to burst the bubble here, but she's involved. So maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot of guys and some females that have reached out to me in those types of ways, and I strictly am very strictly all about business.
So I'm gonna ask the inappropriate question then.
Oh boy, I'll apologize now.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad, but considering that what you're saying is people have reached out for you. You ever open your Twitter DM and there's a dick pic sitting there?
Yeah, but they get blocked. I can't deal.
So that's a yes then. I never understood how that truly works, but
yeah, they do.
I think you gotta be a colossal asshole to really just throw it out there.
It's wild. It's really crazy, guys. Like you don't understand when you have like I don't know how they do it with like 500,000, 300,000 followers, but when you have even like 20,000 followers, you're like, what is out here?
It's a lot. I'm sure. Something takes off, whether it's stock wise or personally, and you're tagged in it or whatever. I'm sure the phone explodes. It's got to be crazy.
Oh yeah, and then they send you pictures. I've seen it all, and I'm just like, do you know what I could do with this? Like, I could really expose you.
It's like
they're hoping.
The last Twitter picture is you and your wife, and here you are sending me a dick pic.
Yeah, I've had married men tell me like I will leave my wife for you, and I'm like, what? I don't even know who you are. Yeah,
it's a random Twitter stranger.
You're Superman or whatever, your cartoon character.
Hey, real quick, just have you seen Squid Game? Because Russ told me about Squid Game a couple of podcasts ago on Netflix, and I binge watched it.
Hold on, I think that's hold on. Let me see something real quick.
Russ, I gotta tell you, buddy. You told me last episode or the episode before to watch Squid Game. I binge watched all episodes for the one season that's out there, and now I'm angry that season 2 doesn't exist. Yes. Squid Game is insane. Russ, don't ruin it for her, but give us a little insight.
Okay,
I mean, that show is amazing.
Really? Okay. I just had a text about it today. And he's telling me to watch Squid Games, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you have to watch it.
People in South Korea, it takes place in South Korea. They kind of take, you would say they take degenerates, people that are having money issues, but are, obsessed with money. And they get them to volunteer to play games for money. Okay. And unfortunately, you find out is that if you lose this game, you're eliminated from the game. And then you got to, I'm sure you can figure out what eliminated means.
Eliminated being the key word without ruining anything for you. It's a series that you need to watch.
Yeah, it's not a game show. It's a show about players involved in this specific game show. But it's really good.
I gotta watch it now because you guys are the third people that told me today that I need to watch it.
It's actually, they just said it now, it passed Bridgerton as the most watched Netflix show of all time.
Wow. Okay. Well, I've been to South Korea.
Yes,
I love their culture. I love what they are, and I spent 16 days there. So
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, the Baltimore Ravens. You seem to be very involved with the Ravens and love them. Are they going to the Super Bowl? And I'll preface.
No, we're going to
this with Russ is a first if that happens.
I'm a Colts fan, so Monday night I fucking hated you.
Yeah, so I love the Baltimore Ravens. I've been a fan for a long time. I loved when we beat Brady with the Patriots in 2013. I had a massive Ravens party that when we played the Patriots.
Well, wasn't that the year? Didn't the year before that was when you didn't your kicker miss like a chip shot field goal that would have won you the game?
Hasn't every kicker?
Yeah,
but hasn't every kicker missed the chip shot field goal across that team?
was the semifinals or whatever, and I had this huge Ravens party. You know, I know a couple of the players from the past. They were my friends, and you know, we've done parties and stuff. And so I love the Ravens. And I, you know, with all the political bullshit that was going on, I stopped watching NFL for a while, but this year I'm all into it. So the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl. You heard it here first.
You hate to say it, on our show when we did a football preview, my pick in the AFC was the Cleveland Browns.
I picked Buffalo, and then I picked the Rams from the NFC, and Russ kind of poo-pooed that real quick. Hey, Shar, listen, I want to thank you very much. We went an hour and 40 minutes, well above and beyond what I hoped for. I really appreciate you coming on. Really love the talk and everything that you did with us. Thank you for coming on. Thank you. This was great. Anything you want to say before we let you? Anything you want to say before we let you go? Any stocks to the moon or anything out there?
Just, you know, for all the LTNC shareholders, you know, just be positive. Pink is going to come. You just got to believe that they're working super hard. They know now how important this is to us shareholders. I love the positivity that's happening right now with the company. They have changed up their marketing. If you haven't noticed, go look on their Twitter, their Instagram, Facebook. They're doing some big things. That they did this big, huge comic thing in New York. That's huge, guys.
Yeah, they were at Comic-Con,
Yeah, they were at Comic-Con. They were at a retail show in Chicago. They've been out there the last week or two. I've seen it.
They're working hard, and all I can tell you is Jason told me, he's like, things are going to happen. We're going to be a big global brand, and I believe him. And I believe his work ethics, and I'm glad they changed management. I think a lot of good things are going to happen. Once we get Pink, we're just going to go, you know.
Listen,
so
I agree with you. I'll put that out there. I think the minute that it's Pink and people can trade it with what they see in the product line, I think it's going to go. I think money is going to pour into it, and I'm saying that here. Money will pour into that stuff.
Yes, and there's a lot of silent shareholders. Okay, I'll tell you this right now. There's a lot of silent shareholders that I've spoken to. Big whales. They love the products. They love the water.
They're waiting for Pink. They're waiting for something to happen.
They are waiting to introduce this stock to their network, which are whales. And once we go Pink. So, you know, so it's open for anyone to trade it and buy it. So just hang on, keep the faith. There's only a few bunches of us left, right? Because everyone has shitted on us and talked trash, threw us in the toilet, threw our water in the toilet, scrubbed their toilets with it.
I've seen that too. Yep, clowns.
So they did all kinds of nasty stuff to us. But you know what, guys? It's going to be okay. Just believe, have faith. It's going to be fine. We're going to survive. And it's going to be the greatest Wall Street story ever told.
All right. I'm not going to lie. Right. At one point when I lost my money on the show, I did give a shout out to a fuck LTNC shout out. So I'm not going to bullshit you there. But
Russ did. We've all been there, right? So I've been there. I was very vocal about my frustrations and everything else. And I was very vocal in the LTNC Discord, right? So, and then they put me as Doe One because I was so vocal. But whatever, you know, it's a free country, freedom of speech. And but now look, things have changed. I've had a conversation with management. Things have changed. Things are going to get better. They're doing an awesome job. I'm very proud of them. They gave us the award. They said this is on behalf of the shareholders. Big.
I saw that.
They finally thanked us, you know. So I think it's going to be a great relationship moving forward. It's an investment for me, and hopefully it'll pay us out really big. And I'm going to keep the faith. I think we're going to see some things happen by the end of the month, and we'll see what happens. I think December is going to be a great Christmas.
All right,
Shar, I want to thank you very much for coming on. Like I said, above and beyond what we hoped for and asked for. Episode 22, that's going to be a wrap for us. Russ, anything in closing real quick?
No, that's about it.
All right.
A couple of drinks in me. I'm going to go relax on a Saturday night and go into the
Enjoy your weekend, guys. Thank you so much.
All
You
right.
too.
Good night, everybody from New York
Right.
and from Charles Plus over there. I see that you got like a tiger in the background. Looks amazing.
Wait, what is
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. What?
All right.
Real quick. I'm sorry. What is that in the back?
Yes, because
You got a tiger on the floor?
it looks like a cat showing its butthole. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, what is that?
It's hold on. Let me I don't know. Hold on.
Wait, I'm looking at the
I
thing
have,
that's
I have a
attached,
very beautiful house.
No.
looking
If you,
attached to the stairs.
yeah, right at the stairs. You had like I want to say a tiger or a lion or
So
something.
I love elephants, and so I have these like beautiful elephants all over. Like this is an artist
okay.
made it for me from like wire, like it's like this wired
Oh, okay, like metal wire, yeah.
Okay.
What's the thing attached to the side of the stairs?
So right here is my
Right
little-
there.
Oh,
Yeah,
what
that
the hell?
right there.
Where did that come from?
That's from China.
I'm looking at something totally different.
No, you didn't see that the whole episode?
No,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the thing attached to the right of the stairs. Go to the right.
Oh, this right here?
Yes.
Yes, that's another one. Yep.
I have elephants all throughout my house.
All right, now the elephant makes sense because when you were sitting at the table there from far away, it almost looked like the ass end of a cat. But I had no idea the tiger. When you said the tiger thing, I thought we were looking at the same thing. I'm like,
Yeah, no, I saw
Stuffed
the whole
tiger.
episode. There he is.
Yeah, that's my tiger.
listen, my 3-year-old will be all over that thing trying to ride it.
When I first got him, my dad brought it back from China or something, and I put it there. And the cleaning lady comes to my house.
Scared the shit out of her.
She goes in there. She's like, ah! She like totally starts like, she gets really scared, and she's like, "Oh my god, there's a freaking tiger!" And I'm like, "Oh, it's fake. It's fake. It's not real." So, whatever.
We made the same mistake of buying our son a life-size stuffed Buzz Lightyear that's like human-sized. And every time you pass his room in the middle of the night, you swear to God there's somebody in there. It makes you jump.
Yeah. Crazy.
All right,
All
thanks
right,
for the tour of the beautiful house. I have to say,
thank
it
you.
looks great from this end of things.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna wrap
Appreciate
this up. Episode 22 is in the books. Shar, thank you very much for coming on. This was great.
it.
Well, hopefully we can have you on again soon when
Sure.
time and everything permits. It'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From New
Thank you,
York and
Shar.
from Shar's Palace, everybody. Have a good night. Wraps up
Bye.
episode 22.